So we have the two of you, and we are live now. Let me turn on my camera. So welcome back to our third session of this afternoon. We are with NGRAVE, who dialed in by phone due to a little bit of Zoom technical difficulties. Ruben is in Belgium. We have two mentors with us, both based in Germany. And I would like Rita, if you can give a short introduction, and then followed by Lucy Haas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ram. Yes, I'm Rita, and I'm basically a non-executive director with a few companies in Finland, one dealing with food, another one with electrification of transportation, and the third one with paints. In addition to that, I've been involved with the Finnish Business Angels Network for 5 years and with the Accelerator Frankfurt from the very beginning. And my background prior to that was basically with two American companies, mainly from the chemicals industry. And I'm kind of interested into the new technologies and especially the blockchain and what it could do also beyond the financial systems. So thought that I'll be available here for any discussion as we move on. That's all, Ram.
Thank you. Lucy, go ahead, please.
Yes, now it works. So yeah, hello, my name is Lucy. I'm the managing director of Helaba Digital. Helaba Digital is a corporate venture capital subsidiary of Helaba. Helaba indeed is a bank, a public bank based in Frankfurt. And our focus is on corporate banking. That means that we are servicing the large caps in Germany, some also international, and we also are focusing on real estate finance, as well as we are the second largest bank operating the cash management. So we are operating the cash management also for retail banks, for example, other public banks, etc. With the corporate venture part, we are focusing on corporates and invest in startups, which are kind of has a good strategic fit with our business model, or with Helaba's business model actually. So that means it's like I said, it's corporate banking, real estate finance, and cash management. But we are also looking for startups in new technologies who can also like improve our processes, our data analytics. So it would be also some artificial intelligence, and of course we have some initiatives in blockchain we are already cooperating with. So that's also one of the technologies we are very interested in. Yeah, that's actually it, and I'm glad to be part of this program, and we heard already two very interesting startups, and I'm really looking for the third one. Yeah, and the idea you are bringing to us.
Excellent, thank you very much. So basically, the first 5 days of the program, the startups are actually going through such sessions, meeting the different mentors, and Maria and I receive a short summary with key areas where we can work with the startups. And going into the second week of the accelerator program, we will debrief with the companies and have more targeted workshops for helping these startups succeed and go further. So this is just the first part of the program. The program is 4 weeks and will end on the 21st of May with a demo day. So just now moving it to Ruben. Ruben, the floor is all yours. I hope you could hear the mentors. I'm not sure if you can see them, but it's good at least to have you over the phone.
Hey, thanks, Ram. Well, I will try to multitask a bit and get things up and running again. I have no idea why my computer failed, but anyways, here I am. I did indeed hear everybody very well, so thank you for the introduction. And I guess while everything is loading, I can still obviously give the whole resume just by voice. So can I get started?
Yes, please, go ahead. And let me know if you'd like me to share anything on the screen.
Yes. So hi, everybody. My name is Ruben Meijer. I'm co-founder and CEO of NGRAVE. And NGRAVE is a digital asset security company. And what we really strive for, what really is, let's say, our underlying mission, is to radically improve your security, your ease of use when you're managing your cryptocurrencies. So we really want to enable you to take true ownership of what is yours. And I'm talking about every kind of asset you might have. So from cryptocurrencies to your stocks, to your bonds, to your diamonds, and everything that you would at some point store online. And obviously your digital identity is also part of that. To do that, we invented 3 different products. First one is a hardware wallet. The second one is a special backup solution for your cryptographic keys. And the third one is a mobile app. This probably all sounds a bit abstract the way I explain it now, but obviously that's what the session is for. And I have to take into consideration that there are some people, let's say, following the live stream that maybe don't know that much about cryptocurrencies. So for them, I will also try to be a little bit more exhaustive than I would be if I would just be talking to a blockchain audience, if that is okay with you.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So I guess that Ram, you are sharing our business model canvas as we speak, or feel free to do so.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah. So the problem we are trying to solve in the market is one that we actually came across. Excuse me. Hey, I think I might be able to join now. You see, sometimes things happen. What did you say again? Hard work, let's luck find you. I think it is. Here I am.
Hard work puts you where good luck can find you. Are you there?
Can you see me? Normally you should be able to see me.
We can see your hand.
My hands.
No, I can see you.
Yeah, no, I can see you.
1 second. I will switch completely.
All right.
All right.
Now you can see me.
Now you can see me, I think.
Okay. Hello?
No,
Yeah.
we can see you, yeah.
And here. And now we lost him.
I guess because he's not talking.
The line. Mute now.
No, he's gone.
No, I can
back,
still see
Robert.
him.
Is this better?
He's back.
Yeah, I can
30
see him.
seconds.
So Ruben, are you going to share the screen or you'd like me to share it?
Yes. Can I hear you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Finally. Okay. I'm terribly sorry about the inconvenience, but here I am. So yeah, to get back to our story, there are 2 really big things we want to solve in the crypto industry. And the first one is the security, which is lacking in almost every single aspect. And the second one is the user experience.
Should I share the screen, Ruben?
Sure, you can definitely share the screen. So that brings me to the biggest pain points that actually brought the 3 co-founders together, and it's the security underlying holding cryptocurrencies today. And so our CTO back in 2017, he was hacked for 44,000 Ethereum. That was around $10 million. So I could say I've been hacked, but it doesn't really compare to the, let's say, the size of the hacks that he experienced himself. And in 2018, the three of us came together really with one single, very easy question. If we would have, let's say, our very first Bitcoin until our very last Bitcoin, and we needed to store it on a single solution somewhere out there in the world, where would we put it? And we couldn't find an answer. So we decided to build it ourselves, which meant that we actually set out to build the most secure solution available. And we understood that to do that, we couldn't do that by ourselves. We really needed to work with the best players in the world in their specific niches. So that's exactly what we did. We partnered up with the world leader in nanotechnology, one of the world leading research groups for cryptography, and so on. But let's go back to the problem, right? So the security, if we think about the numbers in themselves, 2018, we saw $2.5 billion stolen, and it was a record year. And 2019, we just got the numbers in, $4.5 billion were stolen. So it's almost double of the previous record. And what we're seeing these days is still an increase in size and frequency on a daily basis of these kind of hacks. And that brings me to the root cause of the problem, because that's what we're trying to solve, right? And the root cause for us is something we call the private key paradox. So the private key is the whole, let's say, the whole strength of the cryptocurrency ecosystem, but also its biggest weakness. And that's why we call it the paradox. And what is the private key? Well, every, let's say, Bitcoin wallet has a public key. And that public key, you can consider it as the account on which you have these Bitcoin stored. So whenever you send Bitcoin, you send it from that address to somebody else's public key. And the cryptographic access key to that wallet is your private key. And your private key, you can imagine it a bit as an alphanumerical string with letters, with numbers. So it's basically gibberish, but it's the most important thing of your cryptocurrency wallet. This is the only key that will ever grant you access to your Bitcoin account. And if you lose it, there is no way of ever recovering any of the Bitcoin associated to that account. So this means that if you put it in hackers' terms, if you do not know my private key, you cannot brute force it. You can have the best quantum computer in the world, but you cannot break my key. And the reason is because there are so many different possible values. If we would express it in numbers, it's 10 to the 80th power. It's comparable to the number of atoms in the universe. So basically, you would say to your computer, hey computer, I have an atom somewhere in my head. It's somewhere at the other outset of the universe. Feel free to guess it. No computer in the world can do that today. And they're not even close to the complexity. On the other hand, hackers don't have to, because if somebody would be standing behind my shoulder, I'm working with my private key. The only thing you have to do is look. And that's the big problem today. So private keys are miscreated, they're mismanaged. They're actually, everything that's done with private keys today is done not in the best way. And I think the biggest conclusion we made from the very beginning was that as soon as your private key has an online touch point, hackers can open their toolbox and they can try to steal your cryptocurrencies. And we call this the opening the box of Pandora of crypto. So for us, that is the online connection.
This just to clarify, because you said Bitcoin wallet, but we're talking now to anything on the blockchain, any blockchain, even private blockchains, which financial institutions would be using.
Yes. Right? So every single hack in history can be brought back to one single root cause, and that is the theft or the loss of this private key. And that is basically what we do as a company is we take away the Achilles heel of the whole blockchain system. So if we think about the size of the market, McKinsey and BCG are expecting that it is going to grow, if not explode, from a couple of $1 billion today to over $24 trillion assets under management on blockchain technology between now and the 7 years that will follow. And what I mean with that is that any kind of digital asset you have today will be running on blockchain infrastructure. So it will no longer be on, let's say, the current infrastructure, but your assets, such as your bonds, your equity, your diamonds, your real estate, any kind of ownership certification will be running on the blockchain. And with that, comes the full Achilles heel, being the private key. And that is where we come in. We solve that Achilles heel. And the way we do that, that's obviously the next beautiful big question. The only way you can ever protect your private key fully is by making it offline, keeping it offline afterwards at all times. So we developed a solution, and I'm just gonna get it. Stick with me. So we already have it. It's ready. Here it is. It is a touchscreen hardware wallet. So basically a hardware device. And we can, in contrast to all the other solutions, completely offline generate your private key, generate all cryptocurrency accounts you would ever need. And we can sign transactions, receive transactions, sync your accounts. We can manage everything you want from your wallet with this device. And it is never connected at any point to an online connection. So it has no need for USB, for Bluetooth, for 4G, Wi-Fi, any kind of network connection. It's just a standalone device. And imagine you're a hacker. This offline wallet never allows any secret access path. Basically means that nobody can steal your crypto. So essentially, this thing is unhackable if we talk about the remote attacks. And the reason is because you cannot attack it. So for me, that's the first pillar of security. The second pillar of security is what happens if somebody gets this device into his hands, right? All my private keys are on this device. So we basically tamper-proof this device. So we build it from scratch with world-leading players in their fields, taking into consideration every possible attack vector that a physical hacker could do. And we basically upgraded this device to the maximum security level. And the third thing that we did, just to be sure, was we certified let's say there is an overarching firmware that protects the device. Our secure firmware is certified for EAL7. And EAL7, it's the highest security certification in the world. And only a handful of players have it in any kind of industry. In the blockchain space, nobody has it. So we are the only ones who have it. And if we look at banks and governments, they generally get 5 to 6 out of 7. They don't even get 7 out of 7. So even for those markets, we actually have a unique solution. And I would say that is how serious we take security. And that is just the first pillar of this solution. Any questions so far?
So it's Rita here. Hi, Ruben.
Hi.
This what do you call it? Equipment? Is it the graphene or as a product? This product that you are showing there that does the offline generation of
Yes.
the private key. What sort of protection do you have for that? How do you produce it? If you would now get lots of customers who want to have it, how is it actually protected? How it's made? Is there any intelligence into that needs protection?
I'm not sure I entirely got your question. Sorry.
Yeah,
could you repeat?
If I may, Ruben, actually, it's a great question, Rita. So the whole supply chain of how it's made, obviously, I think the manufacturer has some initial access, even though it's offline. Is that what you mean, Rita?
Yeah, I mean, who if it's made, for example, in China, how would I trust that it's truly offline and does not contain any sensors that can link online? So that type of a question.
Thanks, Rita. That's a beautiful, if not a perfect question. And obviously, we asked it ourselves at the very beginning. It's a core question to our entire solution. So there are actually many different answers that together make up our cumulative answer, let's say. And the first one is indeed, where do you produce this? And we produce it in Belgium. So everything we've done is we design it in Belgium, we build it in Belgium, and we are actually manufacturing it in Belgium. But regardless, it doesn't matter where we actually build it, because there can still be security breaches actually fairly easily, even in the most secure plants. So it all comes down to the moment that you generate a key, is there a way that somebody else, so a third party, can in any kind of way figure out what your key is, right? And so today, the first thing you have to know is all the existing solutions, if they are online, such as exchanges, software wallets. So these online solutions, they basically just give you a password to log on to their platform. They give you addresses, but the private keys, they keep them for themselves. So as a user, you never actually have access to any private keys. And therefore, in theory, you actually, well, in practice, you actually never own any Bitcoin. That's why they were invented what they call hardware wallets. So we didn't invent the concept of hardware wallets, but the problem with these is that they're actually semi-offline, semi-online technology. So they work with USB typically. So basically, a USB, you have to put it in your computer and you are connected. What we've done is we have taken it completely offline. And the question then becomes, if you look at the status quo, so either the exchanges own your private keys, the solution of hardware wallets, there, the device gives you a key. So it just shows you this is your key, take it as it is, or don't take it at all, and then you don't have a key, obviously. And the problem with that, from our philosophy, is that there might be a chance that they have a database with all the keys they ever made. So it's a very small, very residual risk, but it's an existing risk. And it basically means that somebody out there might know what your key is. So that's one thing. And the second thing that's important is the way that these keys are generated. So they call this true random number generation. So you have to be able to generate a key that is as unique as this whole wide range of possible values of these keys, which is, like I said before, the size of all the atoms in the universe, so fairly complex. And it has to be done in a way that it is unpredictable. Otherwise, I can just reproduce your process and I can know what your key is. So what we have done is if we use a chip like a true random number generation chip inside a device, we use it, but not by itself, which is what all the other solutions do. So they just use the chip and that's it. We use the chip, but we combine it with your biometric data, with, let's say, environmental data like light sensory. And that together forms the basis of your key. But still, we could still completely fake this entire process and give you a key, and it would still be a key we just made. So what we do then next is we actually let you interact with the key generation process. So in the most easy version you can imagine is I just show you, let's say, 10 numbers, and you can choose a couple that you change. If you do that in a string of 256 bits, there is no computer on earth that can still know what your key is, even if you just change one single bit. And indeed, what I actually wanted to do today is I wanted to show that in a bit more detail so that it's really clear.
So it doesn't matter who it manufactures in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So because at the end of the process, you will have a key that you generated offline. So no hacker will know what it is. It will be
if you look here and in the screen, you see the different keys, and you can select what sequence you want as a user. It just went a bit too fast.
Yeah.
Yes, but I can show you this like live if you want, like slow live, and you will see exactly how it goes.
Shall I stop my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And just to add to that, none of your manufacturing is in China at the moment, right? Where is it?
It is in Belgium.
100%?
Yes. So some components obviously come from somewhere across the other side of the world. And I'm talking about tiny transistors, really basic components that can never do anything wrong. That's how a circuitry board is built. But apart from that, there is not a single type of assembly that is done not in Belgium. Okay, just give me a tiny second. It's coming up. Okay, now I just have to share my screen. I can only share one screen, I think, at the same time. Do you see scan QR codes in big? Do you see that or not?
We see the device, yeah.
Okay, but not the QR codes. Okay, so I can only share one single screen. Then I will share this one.
You can actually mirror your screen, so you can share a few screens.
Okay, I will do that then.
If you do just desktop, select desktop.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe, don't share if you have stuff open.
I just have to put your faces on the sides. 1 second. So now you should be able to see scan QR codes in big.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So the first time you ever turn on your device, this is the screen you will see. Basically, here we do a cryptographic attestation to be sure that this device also by itself has not been compromised. But I will just skip this test. It's a sort of a security extra verification. And then the first time, so you don't have any wallets, you can decide to import an existing one, or you can create a new one. So we will go for creating a new one. And there you can choose between every kind of, let's say, existing status quo technology, such as mnemonic wallets. But we also invented something that we call the NGRAVE perfect key. And so we recommend to make this NGRAVE wallet. And that's where everything, like I just said, comes in. So first you create a PIN code. So it can be, it has to be minimum 4, maximum 8 numbers. And then we actually ask you to provide your fingerprint, as you can see here. And what actually happens is your fingerprint is included in the key generation process. So it's one of these random inputs that will generate a strong key. And so that's the first thing that happens. Also, light technology will come in through the camera of the device because it's one of the best maximizers of randomness. And what you're seeing here is this famous key. So this is a key of 64 characters, and each character can have 16 possible values. Together, this is good for that 10 to the 18th power kind of randomness. So here we tell you, create your unique key. You can freeze the key whenever you want. You can keep going, freeze the key. This will give you at least a first base assurance that this key is made in a way that you can actually keep doing this until infinity.
Ruben,
yes.
Let me ask you something very quickly.
Yep.
Can I recover the wallet with the plate even if I lose my finger? Is a finger necessary to?
No, you can always buy a new device.
Okay.
And if you have your plates, you just basically enter your plates. Enter the code from your plates. And you can do that in a new device. In every single wallet you ever had, be it in a Bitcoin account or your 17 Ethereum accounts, you need just that one code and every wallet will be back.
Perfect.
So and I'm talking about this code. Yeah.
So your business model is to sell this equipment. Is that correct?
Well, our business model is obviously an entire other question. And I assume the best what I can do in terms of answering is finish this flow. And then we can, if you want, talk about the business model. So now you have a key, but we actually allow you to shuffle parts of the key. So you can now say, I take whichever block of 8 I want. I can shuffle this as much as I want. I can change. And basically what you're doing is you are making it impossible for NGRAVE, so for us, the manufacturer, for anybody else who might have hacked your wallet before you got it, to know what your actual key is. So this is crucial. And after this step, you know that the key you have made is really your key and your key only. And you're the only one in the world who's ever seen it.
And just to remind everyone, this is all offline. There is no Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or any communication or any connection to this device.
Yeah, exactly. And so we make it so easy that on this tiny little screen, you only have to select any kind of cryptocurrency. Sorry, my bad. That you ever wanted, and you just go through it. You can even search for it. You can say, I want Chainlink. Voila, there it is. And then you can just click next. You can sync your mobile phone with all of this so that it's all on your phone as well. And then you just have a dashboard of all the cryptocurrencies you selected. And from there on, you can basically receive Bitcoin, send Bitcoin. So it's extremely easy to use. You can see it's practically foolproof. There is nothing wrong you can do. And yeah, so all of this complexity, all the cryptography in the world is in this device. But for you as a user, it's basically a simple device. So
how are you going to send Bitcoin if the device is offline?
So let's assume that you have Bitcoin, right? So what we have is we have 3 products. So product number 1 is the Zero. So obviously that's this device. This is our Zero device. We also have a Liquid, and the Liquid is basically called Liquid because it's flowing. It's the flowing cryptocurrencies. So it's an app, and with this app, we communicate with the Zero device through very simple, very intuitive QR codes. Everybody in the world knows how to use a QR code. And so it means that the moment we create account here, the first thing we have to do is we have to sync. You have to sync your wallet. So you can then press here. It will show you all the accounts you want to upload, let's say, to your app. And the only thing you will see in that QR code is very simple. It's just account 1, account 2, account 3, account 4, a picture of that information, but not of any private key information. And by doing so you scan it with your app, and all your accounts will be immediately synced to your app. And again, nobody can steal crypto from that because your private keys remain on the device. And as you can see here, you will actually have a real-time overview of your accounts. If you click here, for example, it will automatically refresh, but generally it refreshes every couple of 10 seconds, I think.
This is not the device. This is the mobile phone now.
This is your mobile phone, exactly. So you can download this on the App Store or just by scanning QR code on the device if you want to be sure. And let's say you want to send Bitcoin, then you have to, I'm not sure if I have it here, but you have to start the transaction on your phone. So basically you say 5 Bitcoin from Ram to Ruben, then you make a QR code from that request, which you show to the Zero. So on the Zero, you then tap send. You scan these QR codes, and then you can see exactly what you have scanned because your phone is online, your phone can be hacked. So it's imperative that you verify the transaction. What you see here is, again, from Ram's account to Ruben's account, the amount of Bitcoin. If there is a fee, it will be also displayed. You can sign this transaction with your PIN code and with your fingerprint. And then you can sign, you can actually scan from your phone this QR code, which gives you the full information you need to send it to the blockchain. And again, this QR code contains a signed transaction, but it doesn't contain anything on the private keys. And that's how cryptography works. And when you're finished, voila, you're back on your dashboard here, and you're back on your dashboard on your mobile phone as well. So imagine doing that. It's incredibly quick, especially if you think about how it is done today. And it is also the securest way you can ever do it because your private keys remain offline at all times.
So how do you make money? What exactly?
Yes, Rita has her investor hat on, so let's get to the business model.
Of course. That is a good question. So basically, you're asking what is our business model? What do we expect for the next 5 years, and so on, right?
Well, I mean, your concept is extremely interesting, and I'm sure there will be a lot of pull for this once you move ahead. So the way you've described it with this private key and being able to, or the fact that you have to be offline, and so the trust is there, the security is there. It seems simple to use based on what you've shown, but there is also a lot of potential in terms of if nobody, maybe you can talk about competition, or you did already in a way, but how do you maximize this for NGRAVE in terms of business? Yes,
so like just somewhere in the beginning, I mentioned research from BCG, from McKinsey, that this tokenization trend is going to increase from a couple of $1 billion today to over 24 trillion in the next 7 years. That's their numbers. And that will actually drive, obviously, the demand for solutions like this. Why? Because the private key will become, or will always remain in cryptography, the Achilles heel. And we saw this Achilles heel in also an easy way. And that actually translates into demand for our market. So if you look at reports, you will see that the hardware wallet market, so the market for these devices, in 2019 was only $210 million. But if we look 5 years ahead, the expectations are that this will grow times 40 to $9 billion. $9 billion, it's a nice and sizable market. It's nothing compared to $24 trillion. However, there are not even a handful of players in this market. So our goal is in the next 5 years to become at least top 3 in this market, which means that we should have a revenue base of around 30% of the market, or 30% of $9 billion. It's $2 to $3 billion, right? That sounds fairly impressive if you would be able to pull that off. And so in our business cases, we talk about much more conservative estimates. And if we do the bottom-up exercise and we think about how many do we think we can sell in the first year, in the second year, and so on, we are actually comfortable that we can reach $100 million instead of, well, $3 billion in the next 5 years. And $100 million, given the profitability beneath it, it actually still gives us an enormous bright outlook on the market. And then the question becomes, which part of the market are we talking about? And I'm pretty convinced that the most of the demand will come from the B2B side and not the B2C side. So we will have to gradually move towards that market. And our whole strategy is also based on that. But the truth is that today, the cryptocurrency markets, they are the size they are, $200, $300 billion, only because of the B2C segment. You see Facebook, you see JP Morgan, they're tapping their toes in the water, but they are not really doing anything that tangible in terms of value. That is something that will come. Businesses will start to adopt crypto, but today we are in the reality that we have to approach B2C first. So for us, that means that we have to build a B2C wallet first, and we have to go for B2C first. For me, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a challenging thing, but it means that if somebody in the business world will think a year from now, okay, I need to secure my crypto, it's always B2C brands that will be top of mind. You don't know many B2B brands, and the reason is logic, because you're never a customer from that. But the B2C brands you will know. So this actually gives us a unique opportunity to become top of mind, also for that industry. And it will also give us the time to prove how secure and how easy we are in use. So our go-to-market approach is B2C. Then the beauty is that this solution, the hardware, it's extremely difficult to make, but we already have made it. So for us, it's all about adding the business requirements of a company. So it could be governance, it could be 2 out of 5 multi-signature, which are actually all fairly straightforward and easy cryptographic concepts that are already on this device. So the only thing we have to do is we have to, let's say, visualize it on the device and make it work for these companies. And for us, that is fairly relatively easy to do compared to building a whole new kind of hardware wallet. So the form factor can remain the same. The functionality has to change a bit, but in overall, that's how it works. And I just want to add one last thing, and that is we are not going from B2C to B2B. We're going from B2C to B2B2C to B2B and so on. Because here in the B2B2C space, there is a huge market, and I'm talking about exchanges, I'm talking about software wallets. How can you today really differentiate from your competitors if you're a cryptocurrency exchange? Well, this is the answer. We have a solution that you can easily integrate with your exchange. And as we all know, exchanges are very, very vulnerable to hacking. And suddenly you can still be a customer of your favorite exchange. You don't have to switch. You can just send your crypto offline whenever you want. You can send it online whenever you want. Even if you would be a very active trader, when you go to sleep, you send it offline. When you wake up, you put it back online, except for the trades that are still going. So that's how versatile or how fast we actually are. And I think that growth strategy will be key also in our go-to-market model.
I also have a few questions, actually.
Yes.
What I didn't understand about the mobile app is I understand the hardware, yeah, that's okay, and also how you create a key, fine, completely understood. But the mobile app, is it is it like something I can connect with my my normal trading platform, or is it a platform on its own, or how does that work? So that's like the first question. The second question is, do I have to create every time I'm trying to trade a new key? And I also didn't understand, like, if I lose the device, let's say, what happens then?
Yeah, all very good questions. So the first one is, do I necessarily need the app in the ecosystem, or can I switch to something else? And so you have to imagine the hardware device doesn't work if you don't have this last mile connection to the blockchain.
That's fine,
obviously, obviously, if we have our own ecosystem, we need this app, which is free to use, but it enables our full solution to work. The beauty about it is that we can actually plug and play this part. So we can just pull the app out. We can say, you have an app, great. You plug it in. You have 2 million people in your user base, amazing. You don't have to switch to the NGRAVE app. You can just use the one you already have been using, and we can easily integrate that. The only thing you have to do is—
So would it be like, for example, to Kraken, or we saw it in another?
Yes.
So would I connect the mobile app with Kraken, or would I connect the hardware with Kraken, let's say?
You would be able to connect the hardware directly to Kraken. So you don't need our app for that. That would be a stupid detour that you don't really have to do. So exactly, you can just say, I plug in my favorite exchange or my favorite app. The only thing they need to do is they need to integrate, obviously, this connection. And we can actually provide them with that. We can provide them with the whole, which is fairly straightforward QR code technology. And you as a customer can use your favorite app without having to change.
So it's like a two-factor authentication, isn't it? Like in some things in this direction, isn't it?
In a way, yes, but obviously cryptography goes at some point into extreme complexity. And for example, with exchanges today, you already have two-factor authentication, and still they get hacked all the time. People lose their money. So yeah, obviously you have different degrees of that aspect. Then your second question was, if you could remind me.
If I have to create every time I'm...
Yeah, so the beauty about the solution is that one key you make, it actually is the source of an almost infinite universe of private keys. So the key we make is not a private key. It is sort of a master key that generates all these private keys. And the only thing you have to remember from that is that every wallet you want to have, so you could see, you could just select it in the screen. I want an Ethereum wallet, I want another wallet. If you lose the device, you need a backup on which you have written down that key. And you just buy a new one, you enter the key, and all your wallets will be back. So you remember one key, and a million keys can be brought back from that one key. So you can have thousands of accounts with money on there. It will all become back with a simple one key. So for the user, it's amazing, of course.
So if somebody see where I've written down the code, then they can steal all of the wallets then?
Yes, so that's one of the big problems today. So people can find your key and then they own everything you have. Or you try to back up your key and you do it in a bad way, and you lose your key and you lose everything you have. But indeed, that's how it works. If somebody knows your key, they have access to everything you have. And that brings me to the third question you asked, which is what happens if I lose the device? So the status quo answer to that is a paper wallet, so a piece of paper on which you write down the key. And you can imagine it's probably the most antiquated way to actually do that, because you spill a bit of water on it, everything is gone, and it's gone forever. So we built a second solution in our ecosystem for that, and we call it the graphene. And it is an everlasting solution of 2 stainless steel plates, meaning it can catch fire. You can pour water on it. You can ride over it with a truck. Nothing will happen. It will still be there. So your key will forever be on that medium. But for us, that wasn't enough, because again, it means that if you find it, you know my key, right? So there has to be a way that you can actually obfuscate that. So what we did is we built the first encrypted backup, and it consists of 2 stainless steel plates. And in the beginning, when you have your key on the device, you have to bring it across on those plates in a specific way. And then you can actually just split the plates, keep them in a separate location. And the beauty about them is that if you find either one of them, but not both, you have 0 information on the key. So it's completely encrypted. And so nobody can steal your key unless they have both parts. And there it's up to you, obviously, keep them at separate places. And by themselves, they are indestructible.
Okay.
So compare that to a paper wallet, it's a big difference.
Okay, so if I'm looking, for example, in the B2B space, yeah, because we as a bank, we do only corporate finance. So we, for example, have some initiatives on let's say, receivable finance on blockchain, for example. Let's say the cash on ledger thing would be, yeah, already clarified and going. And then how would I use your device there?
In a B2B context, in a banking context? And do you mean the hardware device or the backup?
Oh no, the hardware device.
Yeah, so you can use it in the exact same way as in the B2C version. It's only, the question is more about what are your requirements. So in a B2B context, you typically have several people who have to sign off on a specific transaction. So everyone can actually sign off part of a transaction with their own wallet. So you could say 3 people have a wallet like this. They can all sign part of a transaction, but you need 3 out of 5, for example, people who sign it. So all of that, it basically just means different business requirements, but it's all on the level of coding. So it's something that for us, it's easy to do. We will actually already support multi-signature, for example, the moment we launch this device. So our idea is to go a bit more into doing pilots with B2B players by the end of this year, the beginning of 2021, to actually indeed incorporate these requirements.
Gentlemen, we're really over time.
Thank you.
I'm really gonna have to put a hard stop here. It was great. Please, Lucy, Rita, Hassan, you're there. If you guys want more information, email me. We could continue definitely more in depth in the coming weeks. We still have 3 more weeks of this program, so it's not the last we hear of Ruben, of course.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and my apologies again for the late start.
No problem. Thank you.